We are counting down 10 vintage warbirds in celebrity hands. These are machines built for combat, notorious for killing pilots, and still flying today. From biplanes with blade failures to a race-modified fighter that cracked 528 miles per hour, every entry escalates in danger. Some have forced landings on record. Others punish one wrong input with death. The countdown starts at number 10. It begins with a billionaire and a propeller that tore itself apart mid-flight. In 10th place, a billionaire steps into the cockpit of a machine built for World War II rookies. But the danger is anything but basic. Elon Musk's Boeing Stearman PT-13, nicknamed Musk Flyer, is a 1939 biplane with a radial engine and tailwheel gear. It looks innocent until you study its accident record. The FAA registry lists N13EM under Musk's private LLC, and his tailwheel endorsement is on file. But in 2020, a propeller blade tore free on takeoff, documented in an NTSB report, dated April 15, 2020. The sudden loss forced a rough landing and left the wooden wings trembling. Even a primary trainer demands constant respect. One missed inspection, one aging part, and the sky turns hostile. This is where the countdown begins. Celebrity meets old-school mechanical threat, and the first lesson is humility. Number 9. The Beechcraft Model 18, known as the Twin Beech, looms in Michael Bloomberg's hangar. A machine that rewrites the rules of risk. Built in 1937 and powered by twin Pratt & Whitney radial engines, this aircraft is a lesson in asymmetric thrust peril. When one engine quits, the remaining power twists the airframe into a deadly yaw, demanding split-second reactions, or the plane will stall and spin. Bloomberg's multi-engine rating is on file, but even veteran pilots fear the critical engine scenario that has claimed lives in this model. FAA records for N37BF detail a 2019 propeller governor overhaul after a service difficulty report flagged a failure, evidence that mechanical complexity is never dormant. The Twin Beech is not just a relic, it is a test of nerve where every takeoff is a wager against history. In 8th place, the Beechcraft D-17S Stargazer sits in John Travolta's private hangar, its polished biplane curves hiding a reputation for sudden, vicious punishment. With a 450 horsepower, Lycoming R680 radial up front and a notoriously narrow tailwheel stance, the D-17S demands absolute precision. Even a minor lapse in rudder control can trigger a torque-induced yaw, setting up an uncommanded spin that has ended more than one pilot's career. Travolta, who holds a complex aircraft endorsement, once called the D-17 a wild cat that will spin you out if you are not on top of it. FAA records for N436LC confirm his ownership, and a 2015 service difficulty report forced a complete prop blade replacement after fatigue cracks were discovered. An invisible threat waiting to strike. The D-17S is elegance with fangs, a machine that rewards skill but shows no mercy for overconfidence. Number 7. The Vultee 5-77 Staggerwing in Robert Downey Jr.'s collection is where the countdown's tension snaps into real-world chaos. Built in 1939, this 450 horsepower radial engine taildragger is infamous for its narrow landing gear and a torque curve that can rip the controls from a pilot's hands. Downey, armed with a tailwheel endorsement on his FAA certificate, learned the Staggerwing's vicious streak the hard way. In 2017, during a takeoff roll, N743BD spun into a ground loop, an accident logged in NTSB report 172504 and immortalized in the FAA registry. The aircraft's landing gear crumpled, the propeller chewed the earth, and the Staggerwing's reputation for unpredictable ground handling was cemented in twisted metal. No amount of celebrity status or paperwork can tame a machine that punishes even minor lapses. Here, danger isn't theoretical. It's written in the accident reports and the scars on the airframe. Number 6. The Curtiss P-40 Warhawk in Jeff Goldblum's collection is a relic that carries the scars of its brutal combat past straight into the present. The shark-nosed P-40, registration N802CG, was born for desert warfare, baking sun, sand-blasted runways, and flight cycles that pushed every rivet to its limit. Decades later, the same brittle airframe and fragile landing gear haunt modern owners. Goldblum acquired his Warhawk through a Warhawk Heritage Trust auction, a sale that made headlines for its rarity, but also for whispered warnings among restorers. Fatigue cracks in the main spars, hairline fractures that lurk beneath fresh paint, and a landing gear design infamous for buckling under imperfect touchdowns. FAA documentation for N802CG confirms its authenticity, but every flight is a gamble against structural attrition. Parts are nearly extinct, and each replacement is a scavenger hunt through forgotten warehouses or custom fabrication. The P-40's legacy is not just speed or firepower, but the constant threat that a hidden flaw, born in war, could end a flight in disaster. In Goldblum's hangar, the Warhawk is both trophy and ticking clock, a reminder that some dangers never age out. Number 5. The North American T-6 Texan in Steven Spielberg's collection proves that even so-called school planes can turn lethal in an instant. With a 450 horsepower Pratt & Whitney radial up front and approach speeds that demand more than 90 knots, the Texan was never a toy. Its reputation as the pilot maker hides a legacy of mechanical traps. In 2018, Spielberg's Texan, registration N494PA, suffered a forced landing after its engine overheated during a high-altitude maneuver. The NTSB summary reads like a warning label: a moment's mismanagement of mixture or throttle, and the engine cooks off, leaving the pilot to wrestle a dead stick back to Earth. FAA records confirm Spielberg's complex aircraft endorsement, but no rating can insulate against the Texan's appetite for mechanical failure. Manuals caution that a hot running radial can seize without mercy. The forced landing stands as proof. Advanced trainers still demand absolute discipline, and even Hollywood royalty gets no exemption from the laws of physics. Number 4. Beyoncé's North American P-51C Mustang, known as Miss Beyoncé N51BK, is where glamour and lethal risk collide. Beneath the polished aluminum and nose art lies a fighter, infamous for catastrophic propeller hub fatigue, a flaw that has ended flights in seconds and left even seasoned pilots shaken. The 1,490 horsepower Merlin engine demands constant vigilance, but it is the propeller hub that hides the real danger. A microscopic crack, invisible to the naked eye, can spiral into disaster under high torque. FAA records for N51BK reveal a 2022 service difficulty report that forced a full hub replacement after only 18 hours logged by its owner, a chilling reminder that beauty can mask structural betrayal. Tracking these failures is a full-time job, and sourcing a replacement hub for a 70-year-old warbird is a scavenger hunt through aviation's underworld. The P-51C's legacy is not just speed or style, but the ever-present threat that a single missed inspection could turn a showpiece into a cautionary tale. Coming to the top 3, the North American P-51D Mustang in Harrison Ford's hangar is a machine that separates mere enthusiasts from true masters of the sky. Beneath its polished skin, the P-51D hides a labyrinth of engine controls, most notoriously the two-stage, two-speed supercharger and a high-strung Packard Merlin V1650 engine. Every climb, every throttle push, demands a split-second dance between manifold pressure, mixture, and the boost lever. One misstep, and the engine can choke or lose power at altitude, leaving even seasoned pilots scrambling. Ford himself has logged over 50 hours in N51HF, a fact confirmed by FAA records and his high-performance endorsement. In a rare interview, he called the Mustang a temperamental beast that demands respect every time you pull the throttle. The pilot's manual warns, mismanage the mixture or supercharger, and the 8-gallon coolant system can boil over in seconds, forcing a dead-stick descent. Unlike trainers or even the Texan, the Mustang's high wing loading and complex engine management create a cognitive gauntlet, one that punishes hesitation as much as overconfidence. Here, the danger isn't just in the hardware, it's in the relentless workload, the ever-present threat that a single lapse will turn a legend into a liability. Number 2. The Grumman F4U4 Corsair. In Tom Cruise's hangar is a machine that fuses raw World War II lethality with a modern pilot's nightmare. The Corsair's 2,400 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine is a force that can wrench the aircraft into a snap roll above 200 knots, a maneuver so violent it's stamped into BuAer accident reports as a recurring cause of fatal loss of control. The long nose, an engineering marvel for its era, creates a blind spot so vast that carrier pilots once called it the Ensign Eliminator. Cruise, who holds FAA complex and high-performance endorsements, has logged 32 hours at the controls of N945GC, a fact documented in flight logs and FAA filings. In 2020, a propeller pitch control failure forced an emergency landing, as recorded in NTSB Report 20-11-07. The investigation pointed to a single-point hydraulic failure, a flaw that can turn the Corsair's immense power into a silent, irreversible descent. Here, mechanical risk and brutal aerodynamics collide. One overlooked linkage, one snap roll, and the sky becomes a gauntlet. The Corsair does not just test its pilot, it stalks them, waiting for a moment of weakness to strike. And finally, in first place, the Grumman F8F2 Bearcat, known as Rare Bear, stands as the apex of celebrity obsession with raw, mechanical danger. Paul Allen's Bearcat is not just a warbird, it's a race-tuned monster, surgically engineered to break every rule the original designers ever imagined. Underneath its vintage skin, Rare Bear hides a 3,800 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine, heavily modified and paired with clipped wings to slice through the air at record speeds. In 1989, this machine shattered the FAI world speed record for piston-driven aircraft, screaming across the desert at 528 miles per hour, faster than any prop plane before or since. But that kind of power comes at a price. In 2014, the Bearcat overran the runway at Reno, documented in NTSB Report 140923, after a high-speed landing pushed the airframe beyond its limits. The FAA's own files confirm the incident and the subsequent overhaul of the propeller hub, proof that even meticulous engineering can't erase the Bearcat's appetite for chaos. Allen Aviation LLC holds the paperwork, but it is the Bearcat's legacy of structural overstress, relentless modifications, and flirtation with disaster that puts it at the very top. This is not a plane for the timid. It is a machine that turns even seasoned pilots into passengers on the edge of catastrophe. Here, speed is a weapon, and survival is never guaranteed. Across all 10 entries, one truth cuts through the glamour. These machines are not tamed by fame. Even now, vintage warbirds haunt the skies, volatile, unforgiving, and hungry for mistakes. For the elite who chase their power, danger is not nostalgia. It is a living, airborne obsession. Would you dare